welcome back to Animal Liberation TV. So, as promised, I've been sorting out my piles of zines and documents, and I've found all sorts of stuff actually, really interesting stuff scattered around. And one of the things I was really hoping to find actually was this zine here, a storybook tale of a trial, the Huddersfield Four. So, the Huddersfield Four were four people from Huddersfield who ended up on a conspiracy trial. And if you watch my podcast number 2, the murder of the ALF response to the murder of Mike Hill, Hunt Saboteur Mike Hill in '91, this all comes from that because they were arrested in 1991 as well, the Huddersfield Four. So the Huddersfield Four, I'll explain kind of how I met people like that in Badger's stories in the relevant episode, but the Huddersfield Four were some mates of ours, Daryl, Gav, Denise and Richard, Big Dick as he used to be now. This zine was written by one of them, and it's a story of everything that happened to them. So it's a really, I loved it when it came out, when they did this. I thought it was a really good piece of documenting some historical moments. And here we are 30 years later since their arrest, telling this story again. So we actually had a connection to all of them in our Manchester conspiracy case, which you've heard me talking about if you watched the other episodes recently. And the operation against us in Manchester was called Operation Lance, and it involved 6 forces from the northwest. I think it was like Lancashire, Greater Manchester, Merseyside, Derbyshire, West Yorkshire, and somewhere else I can't remember now. Cheshire. And there was a side operation linked with that as well, which was just West Yorkshire and Greater Manchester, which kind of linked the Manchester trial to these people. So a lot of the stuff that happened in West Yorkshire kind of got lumped in with us a little bit. And this Operation Fox was the operation between Greater Manchester Police, GMP, and West Yorkshire Police. So their case was very closely linked to ours. Now, I want to just take us back to 1991 and the ALF response to the murder of Mike Hill. And I read this out in podcast 2, but I want to refresh ourselves by looking at the action list from 1991. And here we have, there we go, West Yorkshire. So I'm going to read out the West Yorkshire stuff to remind us of the background of the area, why the police were sort of taking an interest in animal rights activities. In Huddersfield in April, so this is all 1991, in Huddersfield in April, over £20,000 worth of damage was caused to 38 windows in Leeds to mark World Day. The homes and cars of 3 vivisectors were attacked with paint, etching fluid and paint stripper. Mrs. Karim, Tootshill and Hamilton all vivisected at Leeds University. In May 9th, butchers had windows smashed in Halifax and 2 branches of Boots in Leeds had 11 large windows etched, as did a gun shop. Boots in Huddersfield also lost a window. The van belonging to Taylor's Meat Packers that had its parts removed, broken out, cut, etched and generally rendered useless. 2 weeks later they returned and demolished 2 more. In Bradford, 7 vans of Webb's poultry supplies received similar treatment. In April, sorry, the ink's really faded on this. In April, 6 tyres on a meat lorry were punctured, and the owners of 2 lorries at the Tulip Meat Company took part in the rebuilding transport game. The manager said that they have made a real mess. In July, Bradley's Cooked Meats at Millsbridge lost a van when an incendiary device ignited. Damage was also caused to buildings. A week earlier, damage was caused to Gothard's Tripe Works in Huddersfield when another fire took hold. The firebomb attack at a meat processing firm caused extensive damage to vehicles and buildings, and 5 lorries were destroyed by incendiary devices at the British Bacon Supply Company at Fully Hall in Huddersfield on the 16th of January. causing over £200,000 worth of damage. To mark Anti-Angling Week, all 4 windows at the Huddersfield Angling Centre were smashed. To be honest, I think there's probably quite a bit of other stuff that went on that probably just didn't even make it to that, because that's what it was like back then. So, quite busy in West Yorkshire during that period in 1991. As I said in podcast 2, the police all around the UK launched operations in different areas. You know, the main areas were Manchester, Liverpool, West Yorkshire, London, Oxford, Northampton. Those were the centres, and those were the places where, and Coventry, of course. And so there were bugs in all those houses all around there, all those places. And operation was up to 50 detectives normally in each place, following the cells of the ALF. So we're just going to have a look at the covers and the introduction today. Huddersfield Naught for the State Naught, so they're kind of celebrating a victory of their trial. Terry Munyad rushes to congratulate Peter Hall, so those are the barristers' names, I think, after he'd slipped the ball past goalkeeper Roger Scott, who's probably the prosecution, scoring Huddersfield's second goal in an emphatic 4-0 victory over the State. A storybook tale of a trial. And when they didn't end up getting a prison sentence, we were all like, wow, you know, miracles can happen. And on the back it's got some stuff here that I'll read out. Okay. In December 1992, 4 people walked out of the Leeds Crown Court at the end of a 4.5-week-long trial. They'd been accused of being Animal Liberation Front activists, a neo-terrorist cell. Inverted commas. This booklet tells the story of the trial that did not produce sensational lies in the papers, did not make threatening examples of the defendants, and did not produce harsh prison sentences. Please make copies of this and or pass it on. And then there's an article, newspaper article they put on the back here. 4 deny arson conspiracy. Police foiled a plot by animal rights activists to attack a slaughterhouse after bugging a house where 2 of them lived, it was claimed yesterday. Roger Scott, prosecuting, told the jury at Leeds Crown Court that officers then waited at the premises at Holmfirth where chickens were being kept and slaughtered under the Muslim traditions, and 3 men and a woman were arrested, with police, helicopters and dogs and guns. Poor sods, they had a really pretty traumatic arrest, that was. He told the jury that police had swooped after 2 guard dogs had been drugged with doped sausages. Before the court are Richard Anderson and Darrell Kavanagh of Huddersfield, Gavin Robinson of Huddersfield, and Helen Denise Booth of Huddersfield. All 4 deny conspiracy to commit arson in August last year. Mr. Scott told the jury the prosecution held that all 4 were supporters of the Animal Liberation Front and as activists believed in direct action. He said that on August 19th last year, police had placed a bug in the house where Anderson and Kavanagh were living in High Lane, and they listened to conversations in the following days. He said that defence counsel for Booth would admit her voice was on the tapes at some stages, and it was alleged 2 of the men heard were Anderson and Kavanagh. And they were really embarrassed about some rude jokes they were making and stuff that had to get played in front of the jury. I remember them being really embarrassed about their kind of, you know, when you're just 2 guys in a house sharing. I mean, this is what happened with me and Terry. We were like that, you know, you get up to Tom Ford with 2 blokes together in a house, you know, it all comes out, doesn't it? And the jury had to hear them playing those bugs. Oh, that's embarrassing. I remember them saying they were cringing. He claimed there was discussion about making non-electrical incendiary devices and also the area the target of the planned attack. He told the jury that a visit was apparently made on the night of August the 20th to the farm and slaughterhouse, but nothing was done because the police presence was suspected. The operation was mounted on another night, and this time the police pounced after 2 guard dogs were drugged. He said a newspaper cutting had been found in Booth's belongings which referred to a court case when the owner of the chicken slaughterhouse had been prosecuted for causing unnecessary suffering to a bird and hygiene offences. The trial continues. And it's just a 1-page introduction. See how it was nicely laid out, this scene. You know, Very nice, especially for the time, you know. Let's read this one page then. It's Thursday, the 12th of November 1992. Mr. Roger Scott is opening the case for the prosecution in Court 4 of Leeds Crown Court. He tells the jury that on Sunday night they'll be able to watch Last of the Summer Wine, comedy based on the West Yorkshire village of Holmfirth. He further jokes that one of the prosecution's aerial photos may even show Nora Batty's cafe. Mr. Scott then points to the 4 people sat in the dock and states these 4 and others had planned in August of last year to attack a chicken farm in Holmfirth. The Crown say these 4 are supporters of the Animal Liberation Front, the ALF. I'm not sure if it's possible to actually be a member of the ALF. If it is, then these 4 clearly are through the documents they have. We say they are activists. This is central to this case. He then leads us to another picturesque Yorkshire scene, the College of Ripon, who received a booklet entitled ALF Non-Electrical Incendiary Devices in the summer of 1991. Mr. Scott alleges that the 4 were working from this booklet. About the chicken farm, Mr. Scott was brief. He mentioned it was halal and even conceded that anyone will look with a little care and hygiene at the farm, that the owner had numerous convictions and that on a scale of 0 to 10 the farm is pressing towards the naught end of the scale. You know, let's remember what this is all about. This is about animal suffering, all of this, you know. It's easy in these episodes to talk about the action and the activists and their history, but let's never ever forget what this is about. This is about sentient beings being put through the most awful things imaginable and in such vast numbers, you know. For the next 4 weeks, Court 4 would be hearing the case of the people collectively known as the Huddersfield Four. This is the story of their trial and the events leading up to it. Ooh. This booklet is dedicated to all those in prison or currently awaiting trial, and to all those who supported, represented, advised or helped the people on trial in Leeds. This has been written in full consent of the Huddersfield Four, although any views or opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the defendants. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up there. Exciting, another zine to go through, so lots going on this channel at the minute. I hope you're enjoying it and you're keeping up. In the meantime, take care.